What's up, you guys? Welcome back to Kraftin here on Cystic Arts. I'm Jess. Sorry it's been a while since I did one of these. The last month or so has been absolutely crazy. I was on IV antibiotics and I haven't been sleeping well recently. And so I just have not been myself. But I'm feeling better. And today I'm going to try out another kids craft kit. This is from Crayola, and it's a set where you can make these little trinket dishes that comes with enough stuff to do 3 of these, and I thought this looked really cool and maybe like something that might be good for like Mother's Day or Father's Day gifts for a kid to make. And so let's just get into this. So on the back of the box here, it says what it comes with, and it's got a guide, 3 packets of air dry clay, 2 acrylic paints, a plastic mold, a paintbrush, and some glaze. So then you open it up and this is what it looks like. So let me just figure out how to get all this stuff out. Here's our plastic mold, paintbrush. Actually, this feels like kind of a nice paintbrush. A silver and a gold paint, so you can paint little designs or whatever on your little dish. This is the glaze. Take this plastic tray out, and it looks like we have a green clay, a pink, and a purple clay. So that's everything that's in the box, and we have our instructions here. So let's see, where's the English? So it says, before starting, protect all work surfaces and clothing. So probably if you're doing this with kids, you would want to have them wear some clothes that you don't really care about that can get dirty, or something to cover up with. Air dry clay contains colorants that may stain household surfaces. So maybe put down some like parchment or something on your work surface. Acrylic paints are permanent when dry. Wipe up any spills while it's still wet. That is important. Yes, if you get that on your clothes, it's not coming out. Single air dry clay colors may be used for trinket bowls. Marbleizing is recommended for more interesting effects. Until you are ready to use it, store unused air dry clay in a resealable plastic bag. So if you're not going to do all of this at the same time, then get some baggies. And it has instructions here that shows you how to do a marbling effect, or you can just use the individual colors. So let's just go ahead and get started. I'm gonna switch the camera angle and we'll get going on this. Okay guys, so we have our clays here. I'm just gonna open these. Come out wherever you are. So that's what the purple one looks like. This is kind of a salmon color. Not really pink, not really orange, but I kind of like it. And then we have kind of our minty green color. So I'm going to show you guys how to do this, making it the marble look like it has here. And it's got, looks like it has good instructions and really good pictures. So I'm just going to kind of follow that. So it says to break or cut each chunk of clay into 3 pieces. So I'm just going to break it up roughly into thirds for each one. Okay, and then I'm going to I'm gonna do one like that. Actually, I think like so. Then I'm going to make a stack of 3 of them. The rest of this I'm gonna put in some Ziplocs to keep it from drying out while I'm messing with the first one. Try to get as much of that air out as possible. Okay, so now we have our clay sandwich. I'm just gonna try and squish it together a little bit. So now it says to break this in half or cut it, and then stack it on top of each other. So now you've got 6 layers. And then it says to keep pulling them apart and stacking them 2 or 3 more times. There we go. It says twist gently and roll into a ball. Flatten into a smooth, even layer about 1/4 inch thick. So I'm just gonna make a log first. Purple's really not showing. That's a bummer. I'm gonna kind of twist it, put it together some more. Now I'm gonna make a ball. It says flatten and smooth into an even layer about 1/4 inch thick. So just squish it. I'm sure you could use a rolling pin for this as well. Okay, now it says place the mold on the work surface, lay clay on top of it, and smooth clay until it hugs the mold. Okay, so get this up. And you can see, like, this is what one side looks like, this is what the other side looks like. I think I like the look of this side the best, so I want it to actually be the inside of the bowl, because when it's sitting up, that's what you're mostly going to see. So I'm going to put that part down like that. It says, press lightly and smooth clay until it hugs the mold. So I'm just going to squish it around. squish around the edges. I'm just going to kind of do this to make sure it's nice and flat. And it says, use a drop of water on fingertip to smooth and flatten edges, or use a butter knife to press the edges flat. So, let's see. I just happen to have this clay tool that's kind of butter knife shaped. I don't have a butter knife handy here in my studio, so I'm just going to do this. Smooth out those edges. If there's any excess hanging off, you can kind of just cut that off. So that's what we are left with. It says let bowl dry for 24 hours. Pop it out of the mold, decorate with gold or silver accents as desired, and let dry about 15 minutes. So I'm going to set this one aside to dry, and I'll come back tomorrow and we can finish it up. In the meantime, I want to show you guys another way that you can marble that I have used before with poly clay, and I think it turns out a little bit better. And I may try to do like one big bowl with this, and I have a reason for that. Okay guys, so here's my plan. I've been wanting a yarn bowl, which is a bowl that you can put a ball of yarn in while you're working with it, and then it has a cutout in the side where you can string the yarn through, and it just helps your yarn to not get away from you while you're working with it. And so I think I'm just going to try and make a yarn bowl with this stuff, because why not? So I took this bowl, this is like random little mixing bowl from the kitchen. I covered it in parchment because I don't want to damage the bowl potentially, and I didn't know how easy it might be to pop off of the Pyrex that it's made out of. So I covered it in parchment paper and taped it down so it won't get away from me. And now I'm just going to show you guys a different method of marbling clay that I've used before and I really like. So I'm just going to make logs with my 3 colors. Got my 3 logs. Going to put this one on top of those 2, and now I'm gonna roll them together a little bit, make them into one big log. Now I'm gonna take it and fold it in half and then twist it. Make that into a log and fold in half and twist again, and I'm going to do it one more time. Okay, now I'm just going to kind of make it into a ball. Flatten her out. I'd recommend a rolling pin for this. I just have one of my other little clay tools that I'm going to use. Just roll this out. Now I'm going to put it over my bowl that I'm using as a mold. And just kind of gently work it down. Not bad. If you want your edges to be even, find the highest point, which for me is about right here, and then I'm just going to cut all the way around. Okay, so cut all the way around, and then I'm just going to go through and kind of smooth that out a little bit so it's not rough. You can kind of take your knife and squish some of those rough things back up in there. Okay. So once you're happy with that, then I need to cut out a little thing, a little space to thread my yarn through. I don't know if you've ever seen a yarn bowl before. I gotta do this while it's facing me, so sorry about that. Basically, I just cut out a little spiral, and I can run my yarn through there, and then it can't get away from me while I'm working with it. So I'm just gonna smooth down the edges of that. So there's that. So I'm just going to set this aside, let it dry 24 hours like our little bowl. Okay guys, we are back. It's been about 24 hours that our creations have been drying. So I'm going to attempt to remove them from these molds. Hopefully they're completely dry and it all works out. So let's see how it goes. Okay, so I've got them here in this foil baking tin. This one, you can see like just really cracked, like a whole bunch. This one is a lot thinner than the other two, so maybe that's why, like, you might need to just make these pretty thick in order for it to work. So we lost that one, but we'll just move on. Feels like maybe it's not quite done. Just kind of gently pull this mold out. Okay, that came out nice. Okay, I can tell the inside part is not done yet, which doesn't surprise me, honestly, because it was not exposed to air. So, I definitely will want to leave that for another day to finish drying. So now this, my own creation that I did, I taped the parchment into the bowl so it wouldn't move around on me. Get all that tape off. See if we can't. Okay, so the bowl came right out. Let's try and get the paper off. Nice. That came out nicely. Now it's all, I'm not sure how much you can tell on camera, it's all wrinkly and crinkly inside from the paper. That doesn't really bother me. If I want to, I could like fill that in with like some epoxy or Mod Podge, but honestly, like, this is just for me. I don't really care. This one feels like it's more dry than the little one, but just to be on the safe side, I'm gonna leave them both for another 24 hours so that I know that they're completely dry, and I think I'll actually bring them upstairs because it's warmer up there and that might help. So I will see you guys again tomorrow with this. Okay guys, here we are, day 3 of this Crayola air dry clay project. Here is the little dish that I did according to the actual directions. Feels like it's probably about as dry as it's gonna get. But just as someone who has actually done a decent amount of like real pottery where like you have to use a kiln and cure the clay and all this stuff, I'm gonna say that it feels kind of flimsy. And let me tap it. It doesn't sound very hard, if that makes sense. So, and also if you go and look at the reviews on Amazon, a lot of them say that like, when the people went to take their little doodad off of the mold, it just like completely broke. So I'm gonna take a stab and say that this stuff isn't very strong. So, be careful with it. Be very gentle when you're taking it off the mold, if you're gonna do this. And then, you know, don't do something where it's gonna be, you know, use it for something where it's just gonna sit and be a thing to just look at. Not something that's gonna be like moved around a lot. You know, don't try to make like a drinking glass out of this. It's probably just not gonna be a good idea. So, I would just encourage you, if you want to get this, be very, very careful with it. But we are ready to move along to the next steps. So, as I showed you guys before, the kit comes with a silver and a gold tube of acrylic paint that if you want to, you can decorate your little dishes. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And this paint tube comes sealed, and inside the cap, which you probably won't be able to see because it's black, is a little pointy thing that you can just like stab right in there and open up that tube. And I just have a paper plate here that I'm gonna squeeze some of the paint out onto. Looks like a nice gold. So also comes with a brush. I think I'm just gonna go around the rim of this. So that paint actually goes on there nice and smooth. It's a good consistency. I can tell, I don't know if you'll be able to tell on camera, but I can tell that it's a little bit transparent, so I do want to do a second coat, but I'm going to let that coat dry first. So I'm just going to set that aside. I'm going to get my yarn bowl. I need a paper towel. The nice thing about acrylic paint is that you can just clean your brush with water. So I just have a jar with some water over here that I'm going to rinse my brush out with, and then try to get as much of that water out of there as I can, because I think I want to try out the silver paint on this. See what that looks like. I don't know if it's because it's like so much green right there, but it doesn't show up very well. This has a lot of purple, so let me just do a little something here to see if it shows up better against the purple. It shows up a little better against the purple, but it's not great. But it is what it is. If you had some like other acrylic paints laying around, you could definitely use those too. So you don't have to stick with what they give you necessarily. So yeah. I'm not super interested in painting this. I did just want to try the silver though. I kind of like it how it is. So, I'm going to let the paint dry, come back and do a second coat of that gold. I'll do a second coat of the silver too, just because I already put it on there, and we'll see what it looks like after 2 coats. and then we can do the glaze, and yeah, see how it comes out. Okay guys, I've given this paint plenty of time to dry, and so now I'm going to come in with the glaze that they gave me and glaze this bad boy. So you just want to spread this all around, make sure you cover everywhere. I wouldn't go super thick because you want to make sure you have enough to cover the whole thing. And I'm only going to do one side at a time. So I'm going to do this side, let it set, and flip it over and do the other side. Okay guys, so here is the final product, all glazed. The glaze dried really fast. By the time I was done painting the inside of my big bowl, this was already dry, so I could flip it over and do the underside. I can't say that I'm super impressed with this stuff. It doesn't seem like it's very strong, and so that like if you dropped this, it would probably break. Even if you handled it a little too roughly, it would probably break. In fact, on my yarn bowl, this little piece broke off. It's supposed to go right in here. I might try to glue it back on. I'm not sure yet, but that was just from me handling it. Like I wasn't rough with it. I was just like turning it, and that little piece broke off. So it doesn't seem like it's very strong, which honestly doesn't surprise me since it's just an air dry thing. Generally speaking, any sort of clay that you have to cure with heat is going to be much stronger. So overall, I think if you don't go off and do your own thing like I did with this stuff, if you follow the directions, make it kind of on the thick side to help keep it from being, uncontrollably fragile, I think you'll be okay, and it might make a good little gift. You just have to tell whoever you're giving it to just to be very careful with it, just to set it wherever it's going to live and just leave it there. So, I mean, this stuff is okay. I think, though, that young kids would have a lot of fun with it. I know that Crayola does sell just packages of their air dry clay. I know that it comes in white. I don't know if it comes in any other colors. So you could get that and, let kids do whatever with it. You could paint it. But overall, I'm not super impressed. So just kind of take from that what you will. I would probably not bother with this stuff again because it's just not gonna last. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope it was a little bit educational for you, helped you make a decision on whether you want to buy this or not. There will be links in the description below to this kit and also just the plain white Crayola air dry clay. So don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any future Kid Kraftin videos, and I will see you next time.